Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you came. Today I'm going to be refreshing an old wig and changing the style on it. Gonna cut it so that it looks like an entirely different wig. So here's the wig. Yeah, I labeled the bag so I know exactly which wig it is without pulling it out of the bag. And we are going to loosen it up. Loosen that bad boy up before we start styling. Next, you want to put these pins, I guess I call them T-pins, in the scalp of the wig, because to me you can't even brush your you want to line up the part with the nose so that you know that you're getting an even brush and an even cut. But and I use about 4, sometimes 3, it just depends, but 4 is good because you want to have it sitting still on both sides, and as well as the back too. So you don't want your wig to be moving all around. So I'm gonna stick these in here to keep the hair still, so that we get it brushed out all even. So now that we have the wig pinned down, very secure, so it doesn't move as you're brushing it. Sorry, it's hair all over my mouth. You don't want your wig to move before you start brushing. Always use an airbrush. I always stress that when it comes to wigs, because your wig will tend to shed less if you use an airbrush. Every time you brush your hair or wig hair, always start from the very bottom. I always teach that. Always start at the very bottom. Then you work your way to the top. You snatch hair out less when you do that, when you're patient. And you start from the bottom and then work your way to the top. Start from the bottom and slowly but surely work your way up to the top. Don't do a little bit at the bottom and then snatch the top out. You continue the same way that you start. Is from the bottom, slowly, gradually work your way up to the top part of the wig. You will tear the wig's hair out less, and you will tear your own hair out less if you do this. Always wash and condition your wigs too before you decide to style. Same thing with your own hair. Always wash and condition your hair first, then you style. Now see, I don't know why she keeps leaning back. Guess it's not on there sturdy enough. But yeah, you want to brush your hair out, brush your wig out very evenly, very thorough before you do any cutting. That's what I plan to do to this wig. I plan to cut this wig. See, I'm going against what I'm teaching. It's trying to start way at the top, and no, you always be patient. Start at the bottom, work your way to the top. Gradually go up. After you've completed a lot of the bottom, then gradually go to the top. It makes it so much easier, and it doesn't snatch the person's hair that you're doing, doesn't snatch their hair right out of their scalp. They'll be very upset with you if you do that. If you aren't patient, and if you don't, take your time and comb it out, get it straightened, straighten the hair out a little before you actually do any cutting. Because I was using my flat iron, and you know, this really helps with the cutting process because you do want the hair to be as even as possible. So you want to, and for this part, what I do is I divide the hair by the ears. So you want to just lay like, just, you know, the part, make yourself, you know, apart by the ears on both sides. I do that because it's a wig, you know, so you're gonna get it about as even as you can. Because the tracks on the wigs aren't always like perfectly even, so that's how I measure, is by the ears. So you want to leave, you know, that front section in the front for cutting it separately, and we're going to start cutting at the back. Whenever you cut hair, is always to start at a longer length than the actual length that you are trying to get to. And whenever you're cutting a wig into a style, you always want to go longer than what the cap is on the wig, because you don't want to cut it too short to where the cap is showing. So that's why I always say, like, whatever style that you have in mind, always start longer. You know, start your cutting at a long length, and then you can gradually see like where you want your cut to be exactly. Okay, and let's start cutting. This is gonna be just slightly shorter than, you know, what I originally bought the wig. I think it's like an 18-inch, and I wanted a bob wig, and I'm like, you know, why should I buy one if I can cut one that I already have? You feel me? Save a little bit of money. So if you're not willing to spend the money, you gotta know that you're gonna be spending time out of your day. So if you have the time, then it's cool, because then you can save that 50, 60, 80, 100, whatever you were gonna spend on that wig. You don't have to necessarily spend it. You can just, you know, make the wig that you were looking to buy. So, you know, it's a blunt cut, which is going to start out being blunt, but it won't end up that way. You know, just depending on, you know, what style you're trying to actually achieve. Now, this may have been easier if I just started with scissors. I got a little, you know, impatient, so I said, let me use some scissors for the rest. Whichever way you feel is faster, whichever way works best for you, you know, is what you can do. So the idea is to have it cut in a style. So this is the style that I had in mind. Ain't that looking so sharp, y'all? Ain't that cute? Uh-oh. Cute, ain't it? So we gotta be consistent with the other side. want it to be even. We want it to be even. That's the goal. So you want to blend it. You want to blend it in because you don't want it to be, uneven. It's better to do this with the comb, but if you can eye it, you can eyeball it, to where I'll cut my finger if I don't. Watch out. Uh-oh. So we're gonna make it a little more even. I wanted to show you guys a full 360 what we're looking like, so that we can make it a little more even. We want to see how it's like blunt here and then goes down. We're gonna even this part out so it looks even sharper. See how we can use that comb to get it, make the cut even come more to even more of a even cut. let me know what y'all think about how it turned out.